Welcome to Inside of the Pleasure Studio podcast, where we strip down truths and bear it all as we get real about all things sex, intimacy, and relationships with oneself, another, and the world around us, celebrating the joy of being fully alive and exploring what it means to live a life rich with passion. Every episode, we confront the conventional and break open the cages of censorship as we explore the untamed and often unspoken aspects of intimacy, cutting through the bullshit as we challenge sexual norms and provide you with the unvarnished truth about what it takes to have a fulfilling sex life. So if you're ready to dive into honest and very often provocative conversations that empower and enlighten, you've come to the right place. I am Melissa Louise, your wild host, bringing to you fearless honesty on this unapologetic journey as we talk about sex, love, and life in ways that are smart, fearless, and fun. Because, lover, this is not just about pleasure. It is a fucking revolution. Lovers, 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 I am so happy that you are here listening to this incredible episode, because today's conversation is one I absolutely feel in my belly and my bones. You know, that's my new favorite word at the moment. And it's absolutely one for truth seekers, the heart-led warriors, and the ones who know there's more available to us, especially when it comes to the way we relate, love, and lead. So today I'm joined by a man whose presence speaks volumes before he opens his mouth, and that is Jackson McGregor. He's known by many as Life Lift Man on Instagram, and all of this will be in the show notes. And he's a divine masculinity mentor. He walks alongside men as they remember their power, rewire old stories, and return home to the sacred masculine. This isn't just a conversation about men's work. It's a conversation about the reclamation of wholeness, of tenderness, of fierceness, and of what is possible when men come back into connection with their bodies, their hearts, and their purpose. So let's all just take a breath with me, drop in with us, and let's get juicy, gritty, and fucking real. Welcome, Jackson. It's so great to have you here, and I'm so excited for today's conversation.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this since you reached out.
Awesome, awesome. So as you can tell, guys, this is two Aussies, so we may dip down. Well, I may, you know, people don't really hear me with my true Aussie accent often anymore. So let's see what happens. So Jackson, I would just love to hear, can we just start off, like, how, why, and when did you get into this?
For sure, great question. And I mean, I'll try and give you the TLDR version of it because it might take a while. But my journey started probably a good 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, where I was, yeah, in a beautiful relationship, but I wasn't showing up as the man that I wanted to be. And then upon reflection, I was seeing that a lot of that was stemming from my childhood and it led me down a path of asking myself the question, why am I doing what I'm doing? And that was a big question that I was asking repeatedly all the time, essentially. Like, why was I chasing business? Why was I doing this in relationships and that kind of thing? And so what that then led to was a breakdown of the relationship because I went from owning my own business, making the money, feeling like I was the man, right, ticking all the boxes that we're supposed to tick. But the relationship was breaking down because, yeah, at the time, then I went to her, then supporting me. We were chasing a new business. We moved in a state, didn't have I didn't have any brothers around me. She had no sisters around her. So it was just us and no real idea of how to show up as an emotionally available man in that relationship when things were going to shit. So when I felt that the change of dynamic in a way from me going from being the provider financially to then her being the provider, I felt very emasculated. And this obviously triggered a lot of wounds, led to a breakup of the relationship, to someone that was only trying to support and be loving and be there for me. And I was pulling away. I was being not callous, but I was being cold. And, she'd lean in for a kiss, I'd pull away. All of this was triggering self-worth, issues with inside me, not thinking that I was worthy of her love, not thinking I was worthy of showing up. And then that led me down a horrible path of chasing wrong relationships, finding, misery loves company kind of relationships, chasing new business that I didn't actually want to be in. Got myself into a new cafe that, I didn't really want to be there, but I thought because I'd done it before and I was successful at it, that it would be the same thing. So I was just chasing the wrong things. And, as a man thinking that those were the things that we needed to be doing. And so then like I said, it was a good 10-year journey that led me up to this. And for the past, well, since I had that cafe about 6 years ago, I was running men's mental health groups and having many more conversations about these kinds of things and realizing that this is where I wanted to be, like as in running men's groups, doing retreats, except I didn't really feel like I had the position of authority or any kind of trust or credibility to speak into it. Though after having a lot of those conversations and doing that for a while, having some men, brothers return from overseas from combat in the military realm, and then them having no one to talk to, them having no outlets, and me being the person for them that they could speak into, this made me realize that it's a much bigger issue than just one that we're facing locally. It's a global issue of men not having been through initiation, not having proper like masculine grounded divine men showing them how to turn into proper men, right? So we've got boys in men's bodies, and yeah, I realize that this is a plight that not only causes issues for men, but causes issues for women, causes issues for the children, and then this just breeds more of itself. And so it's a it's multifaceted, I guess, as to why I've got into this. But my why is I see that things like emotional intelligence and men not knowing how to be masculine and grounded is causing all the issues in the world, from domestic violence to, crime in the streets, to drug addiction, to, even things like, child abuse and everything else in between. It all stems down to men and emotional capacity, I believe. And this isn't to throw blame on men individually, but it's the system of, pulling men from the homes back in the Industrial Revolution times. It's led to this breakdown of masculinity being transferred by generation, and the village raising the kids, right? We don't have that anymore. And so like I said, it's multifaceted, and it's probably a little bit loop-de-loop what I've just tried to explain there, but that's kind of my why and my reasoning in behind why this is such a passion for me.
Thank you. That was such, I always cross my fingers when there's like a note when I want to go back to a subject. So all of my fingers are crossed. That was great. I'm like this. Um, I do want to touch on, we talked about this before we started, but you just brought it up again, like many different parts about the village, the Industrial Revolution. And, I want to really, for us to speak about rites of passage and
Mm,
how our culture has completely let our men down. But first, I want to come back to this word divine masculinity.
mm,
It is a catchphrase. It's a crazy catchphrase that's just been thrown around a lot at the moment. And I know, same with the word polarity. It's like
mm.
there's like anything, people get on it and take it for what they will. But I would love to hear what divine masculinity means to you and in your work, how that shows up.
Of course, yeah. So I believe, like, to me, life's about balance. And I think that that's what the divine masculine means. It means being able to balance our feminine and our masculine energies so that we can be both strong but emotionally available. We can be leaders but not dominant, right? It's like being able to lead from love and not control. We're empathetic, but we're also grounded in who we are. And it's in one phrase, I think it's about being the lighthouse in the storm. And whether that's in our own storm or whether that's our partner's storm or our kids' storm. And it's not about being stoic. It's not about repressing our emotions. It's about feeling them and letting them flow through us, but not taking on other people's as well. And a big part of that is first understanding what emotions are. And I think that's something that a lot of guys miss out on, is the names of their emotions. So yeah, for a divine masculine man, that's what it is. It's being the lighthouse in the storm.
I love that saying because I often talk about masculine, feminine energy, like the feminine, especially being a woman, like, we're chaos and it's like we're a wave. Can you
Mhm.
imagine like a wave in the ocean? And a wave just builds and it builds and it builds, and we just immense. We have more and more, and we'll keep on building and building. And then we slam up against a cliff, or the wave crashes on the shore. And that's like the masculine, and it's like, oh, oh, no, I'm going to say, oh, I exist now. It's not that we don't exist. It's like, oh, then becomes a container, or becomes
Yes.
an idea, or becomes support. It's like the feminine always wants more.
Mhm.
The world just needs to understand that and come good with it. But it doesn't mean that our partner, and it should be great as we get into more social structures to speak about monogamy and things like that if you're open to it. But it's not that we need to get all of this from our one person, but I just
Right.
love that the masculine energy is a lighthouse because the storm is the feminine. We have Mother Nature, we have you know everything around nature, and chaos is
Mhm.
feminine for a damn good reason. We're great at it.
100%. Yeah. And that's right. It's like the feminine energy is that like that chaos, that flow, the play, and the masculine energy is that grounded, structured leadership as well. And yeah, that phrasing I think is the wave crashing up against it. It's like you're so right, right? Like it's that the structure there, the cliff, whether it's the lighthouse, it's stable and it's constant, it's consistent, and it allows the feminine energy to flow into it.
Beautiful. So I would love to dive into rites of passage.
Big
What are
one.
your thoughts? Yeah, thoughts on rites of passage. Did you ever have one? And do you actually know anyone that had one? I've got
Not
one.
yeah, that's a great question. And like it's not something that I've had as in like something structured that happened in that pubescent age, which I believe it's integral at that time. It's like the not forced challenges, but challenges that men elect to put their boys through, and the boys elect to go on those challenges so that they come out stronger on the other side. And these aren't things that are like we don't see them in many cultures today, especially in the Western world. Like it's just boys are just thrown into the abyss. Like we go to school and then now we're putting on, we're performing masculinity from what we're seeing on TV or even what our fathers express to us or the other boys in the schoolyard. And so there's no real this is the path that you need to go down. There's no initiation into manhood. And it's a plight on society. I truly believe it because, as I said earlier, we've got so many boys that are in men's bodies that don't know how to show up. We wonder why so many men are killing themselves every day of the year. It's because they don't have the ability to express themselves emotionally. They think that they have to be this certain example of masculinity, and all of that traces itself back into that rites of passage that we've lost for years. And so on whether I went through one, it wasn't one at that time, but it was definitely dark nights of the soul. It was internal rites of passage. It was my own personal journey that led me to where I am today.
It's also what I'm hearing from you. It's a very solo journey in our current cultural construct. What my understanding of rites of passage and everything I've read, and also, I've traveled around the world. I raised a boy on my own, and in Central South America, in Asia for a little bit, but Central South America, and lived in the mountains of Peru, and we lived in the jungle of Costa Rica, which I'm going to get to about rites of passage in a moment. But speaking to many people from different cultures, it's not this thing that a boy goes and does on his own. And it
Hmm.
actually happens quite young. He leaves the mother and he's put on in a situation where it can feel like life and death. And for
Hmm.
some people, it is. And I know when I speak to people that find this barbaric, and I'm like, have you looked at our car accident and motorbike death toll? That is like, we give our boys two-wheel machines that make them temporary citizens,
Hmm.
and that's it's accepted, and people hop in cars and have car accidents, and we have addictions such as alcohol and drug addiction that with people still driving, and so we have a death toll that's really high by something that's imposed onto humanity, as opposed to a rite of passage is like boys go out with all of the men behind
Yes.
them. They're
Yes.
leaving their mother, which and that this is also when we look at community living, like
Hmm.
women are not on their own raising a
Hmm.
child, so they don't lose their child now they're at lone, home alone type stuff. But where the boys go out knowing that they're absolutely loved, they are supported. And yes, maybe one or two do not come back
Hmm.
if they're out in the jungle and, we've got big animals and maybe one does die. But to me, that's very minimal compared to car accidents and motorbike accidents, other things. And then we have this issue around suicide, which I would love to talk to in a little moment. But raising a boy on my own, it was a big factor. I actually was exposed to Stephen Biddulph. Do you know him, the Australian?
Yes.
Yes. So
I love
it's the
I love his
perfect.
work.
Oh my God. When I gave birth and I had a boy, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, what do I do? Like, number one, it's a baby and it's a boy. Like, what do I do? And somehow by the blessing of whatever, I came across Stephen Budup. I went and saw him speak in a Sydney all boys
Hmm.
school, and he just implored every single parent there, do not send your boy to school until he's 7, because
Yes.
this is another thing. Like we have all of the issues of 48-year-olds all in a class together where there's
Hmm.
no inspiration. There's no 10-year-old. The
Yes.
Continuing Concept's another book. So the Continuing Concept and Stephen Biddulph were my two books I read in my pregnancy and childbirth. But where there is no community culture that
Mm.
is teaching the boy's not learning from a 10-year-old, the 10-year-old's not learning from a 14-year-old. It's just competition and
Yeah.
fear. But the whole thing of, so then we have 5-year-old boys at school with a completely different nervous system.
Hmm.
And this is shame begins, where they need to be quiet, they need to shut down. Everything's the boys' issue. Um, so yeah, so then, I left Australia. I'm in the jungle of Costa Rica. And so I'm like, my kid he needs to have a rites of passage. Like, I know this is, and because he's like, I'm not doing it. And I wanted him to go to the jungle. There was another boy and there was a man that was going to support it, but put him in a cave for 5 days
Mm.
and learn to life. And I'm like, awesome. My kid's like, I'm not effing doing it. So then I'm like, okay, you've got to get a tattoo. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And so he chose a diamond. So I got it. I had a dear friend of mine. The thing is, it was all women. We had 2 women from Australia in the house, his 2 aunties and godmother. And then it was my female friend that was a tattoo artist. So it was kind of like 5 women in the home, him getting a stick and poke tattoo on his
Mhm.
ankle. I can say this now because he's 19 and he doesn't live with me and I can't be arrested for it. He's all God. And he did say yes. But it was a stick and poke. And the whole idea was to sit through pain and that
Yes.
you will survive.
Yes.
You will live and you're supported by people that love you. They're not,
Hmm.
it's not a dogma. But yeah, so that was what I tried to do. But I don't know if it really worked. But it
No,
was
I,
the
I
idea.
think the concept is beautiful. Like what you were mentioning there about Steve Biddulph, I can actually just see just about there is the New Manhood book sitting right
Ah,
there, which is
wow.
one of my favorites. And he speaks into something that's so true, right? It's like what you're saying there about not sending boys to school until you're 7 or 8. It's like we understand that that's when like it's all emotion up until that point. We don't have the logic part of our brain developed yet, and so everything that we're learning is an emotionally based, and this speaks into obviously childhood trauma wounds and stuff that we then exist from. But going back
Mm.
to your point about the different generations at school, this is one of my big beliefs, and it's why I would like my goal is to homeschool my future children. I don't want to send them to the education system. One, because it's flawed in many other ways than just this, but it's exactly that. It's like you're sending your child into a classroom that has 25 other people their age. They also don't know what the fuck is going on. It's like,
Yeah.
you've got little, and kids are like midget drunks, is like it's a Dylan Moran reference that I love, right? And it's exactly true. It's like you've got these 5-year-olds running around thinking that they know what's going on. They're modeling themselves off each other, right? It's because they're spending most of the time there. Like, we are outsourcing the greatest time of a child's life. We're outsourcing our love, we're outsourcing our education, we're outsourcing even parenting, like to the school system, where the teachers aren't getting paid enough, and there's majority of them probably don't even care. I'm not saying they don't care, but there's not the same care that a parent would have about their child to make sure that they're getting the exact upbringing that they need to become, it's like to survive, not just survive, but thrive in the world that we have today. It's like you don't go into a situation where you're spending time with 25 other people your age. That's very unlikely. Like that's not happening in the real world. It's like the majority of the time it's like you have people from different ages, and that is the village that's supposed to be raising our kids. We're supposed to have, like you were saying, the 10-year-old teaching the 8-year-old teaching the 5-year-old. Like it's supposed to be this chain, but we don't have that anymore. We don't have the village anymore. And it's like that's abhorrent. Like it shouldn't come down to just one or two parents raising the kids. Like we need that community around them. And like you said, it's like you need the stronger boys teaching them that, hey, you're going to get through this. I'm going to show you how.
When we speak about the village raising children, what is not mentioned is that the village also raises relationships. The village
100%.
raises families. Um, and so it's not just the children that have been abandoned by the village. It's like every relationship has been
Hmm.
abandoned by the village. And when we're looking at two parents raising children, I don't think anyone really is raising children anymore. I think everyone's in survival mode. That
Hmm.
kids are at school most of the time. Parents are at work most of. When are you raising a kid? Now you're in
Right.
management. You're in management of exhaustion, management of activities, management of time, and
Hmm.
time is something that has been robbed for it is we live in a trauma-based cultural existence.
Hmm.
Our culture is trauma-based with this modern day sort of wording that gets used that we live in modern day living. It's like we have more hospitals than ever. Everyone's
Yeah.
ill. Like I don't know what's so modern about it, other than that we can push buttons for many things. But yeah, but children are not raised anymore. They are managed.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, we have a culture that manages other people's, manages our own lives within it and other people's lives.
Right. And I think here in Australia, like a lot of people are here, they want to have babies, that they don't want to raise children.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that.
And I don't think it's something people give enough consideration to, right?
No, it's like, yeah,
Like,
it's the fantasy, the romanticism of I'm gonna have a baby. And then
right.
it's like now you've got to train the baby. Do you know one of the most incredible other things that happened when I was pregnant? I was so blessed that I flew around Australia just studying and I did all of this study and read all of these books. I was very blessed that I didn't need to work during my pregnancy. And I snuck in Sydney, I snuck into a midwife's conference in an auditorium. When you're pregnant, people just kind of they're scared of you, they're nervous of you, they don't know what to do with you. And I effing well worked that like coming out 9 months. I just twaddled around, bomb, bomb, bomb. I'm walking in there. So I just walked into this auditorium into a midwife conference because there was a archaeologist speaking,
Okay.
and he opened up. I think his speech was so short, but it was basically like, you know, when did I give birth? God, I've got to even think of the date. Anyway, let's it's just 2004. So, sorry, 2006. So it was in 2005. And he said, today in the year 2005, every baby that is born has exactly the same needs as a child that was born 2000 years ago. The only thing has changed is the parents' needs. And that is not baby or child centric. That is an industrialized centric
Hmm.
version of having another human in your house. It's got the way that we're required to raise them
Mm.
has got nothing to do with the baby's needs.
Hmm.
And it's horrifying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And like I'm not a parent yet. I'll just, put that out there. So my opinions on this come from a lot of seeing other people raise kids and thinking about how I would want to raise my kids. So I might be completely off the point here. But a couple of things that I do see is, and I wonder about this in your own perspective perhaps as well, is I want to have my child in the bed as soon as it's born. Like, I think that is the place to have it. The mother and the father and the child are in the bed. I don't understand why so many parents are so quick to put their baby in a cot or even into another room, right? It's like at those young ages, sure, there needs to be at some point the detachment of, always being reliant on the parent. But I think in those formative years, like especially when they're still breastfeeding, like why wouldn't you want to have them in the bed bonding with you as close as possible to you so that they know they don't know they're safe logically, but they feel that they're safe. And I think that that's something that we're missing. And then we send our kids to daycare at, you know, you see them, it's like available from 3 to 6 months. It's like, holy fuck, are we really outsourcing this again to other people? Like that now they're in another room with, 10 other babies or something like that. It's like, and they talk about, oh, it's for socialization. It's like, it's not for socialization. It's for so that you can go to your job so that, because we've stripped women of the feeling of the power that is motherhood as well. It's like, we've told them that you need to, like, to be a strong woman, you need to go have a job, have a career. It's like, I don't think that's strong. I believe in equality for sure, but I don't, but like, being a mother is the biggest job in the world. And I think it's the most important job. Like, who else can bring a spiritual being into the physical realm? Like yeah.
You know, I want to start tethering this too because this is all very like my body just goes into shutdown because yes, a baby's need, like it's inside of the belly, it's listening to heartbeat, it's surrounded by blood, it's surrounded by, it's like it was surrounded, it's got its own placenta. It comes out of the world. It's even how we put babies in a pram and push them
Mm.
in front of us, especially if we're living in cities. And so you have like a baby that's 5 days old and it's wrapped up, and they go, you've got to
Right.
wrap it so it feels secure. It's like wrap it in your arms so
Yeah.
it feels secure. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hello.
Why isn't it swaddled? Like,
Yeah. And so then putting in a pram and pushing it, and you can see, you watch babies, they can hear the truck, they hear the car, they hear the horn. and they're just in shock. And so a baby needs the mother's heartbeat, is why we carry them. And so the issue that we also have, if we're looking at continuing concept, and I want to bring this to how this relates to adults relating later on, and with our work, both of our works and your work, especially with men, is oh God, I've just lost it. No, da 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 da. I just lost it. It's the end of my day, as you can see. No, oh yes, the survival mechanism is like the lone wolf, like where men often believe, I hear it in my clients when I speak to men and we're doing relationship coaching and all of that stuff, and this belief that they have to work out everything on their own. So
Mm,
when you're giving a baby isolation, trauma, fear, it's not safe. It feels it's going to die. So a baby's inconsistent. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Like that's what the primal brain is like. I'm not loved because I'm not being held. Therefore, I don't belong. So I obviously don't belong with my
hmm
mother because I'm alone. Therefore, I'm going to die. So when you have a baby screaming all night, it's like then it learns to self-soothe,
mm,
to self-soothe. Then we've got then we're looking at all of these years of this type of behavior. And then of course growing up in Australia, what did I hear all the time? I was so blessed, the father of my child. He was Turkish in Belgium, and it was the one thing that he even is this tall 6 foot man and skydiver, and like he was a man's man, like if you want to, if we can say that in that way. And he was so disgusted that, and we lived in Bronte, Tamarama, Sydney. All he would hear was boys don't cry, like 2 year olds,
hmm
18-month-olds, 2.5 year olds, where a little boy would fall over, lose his ball because we're on the
hmm
beach or whatever. And all he would hear was fathers telling, and even mothers, parents telling their little boys, that boys don't cry. And it's,
Right.
it might be like, it's a child.
Yeah.
But now we look at that, and I know it's not just Australia. So you cannot have an emotion. You cannot be
hmm
truthful, because I'd love to get to about men speaking the truth. You can't be truthful. You can't be in like your own truth of what's happening and express it. You get shut down at the age of 2, 3, 4, all the way out. And then you go into a relationship, and we've got women going, will you talk to me?
hmm
Can you tell me what is wrong?
Right.
Nothing. Like we just have to be radically responsible that the men in the relationship with our daughters were
hmm
raised by parents that probably said the same thing we did to our son.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. And
so
you
can
touched
you
on
talk
something
more about
important.
the lone wolf concept with men and emotions and all of this stuff?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like what you just said there, like that's something that I talk to a lot. Like that phrase of boys don't cry, like or man up or toughen up, princess, right? It's like these are the phrases that we hear from such a young age. And like you said, it's like you might just scrape your knee on the ground or some shit. And it's like, oh, you'll be right, get over it. And it's like, sure, you will probably get over it, but it instills this idea of exactly what you're saying, that we're not allowed to have emotions, that we're not allowed to feel, right? And so you go through that, and then you get told off at school or told off at home, sent to your room because you've had an emotional outburst. Like you're in trouble now for having emotions. So we're taught from such a young age that not only are we not allowed, but we will get in trouble for having our emotions, or like we might even get a smack, right? Like, smack on the bum, something like that. It's like now there's a physical pain associated to having that emotion. And so exactly right, we then go into that feeling that we have to do everything alone, right? Like, you're a man, you've got to work it out. It's like lone wolves don't exist. That is not the way the wolf packs happen, right? It's like men aren't
They die. Sorry, I cut you off,
exactly.
but it's
No,
like they die. Can we
yeah.
just like have that understanding?
Yeah, from what I understand, and I'm no animal expert. I don't know what's the word for someone that studies animals, anthropologist or something. Anyway, I'm not that, and so like I'm not the best person to speak into it. But from what I understand, is like yeah, when a wolf is alone, that wolf dies. Like it's going to like it's end of lifetimes, right? That's what happens with men as well. It's like we are built for brotherhood. That is one of the things that is key in missing in today's world. It's like we don't have people around us. We don't have men around us that are then holding us to like a certain level of standard, that are holding us accountable for the things that we say, that are holding us responsible for the things we say, that are supporting us in our growth, right? We don't have that. And there's pockets, there's communities, and they're growing, and it's fantastic. It's beautiful to see, and it's a big part of the work that I do. But what we see then is the impact of that in relationships. Whereas what you were just saying, like the woman asks the man, "Can you like let me know what's going on?" And this is something I struggle with. I'm an avoidant attachment style, and that's what I'm working on in my relationship currently to become secure. But it's still hard. Like it's because it's ingrained in me from such a young age that I wasn't allowed to express my emotions or that I'd get in trouble for them. That when my partner comes and asks me something like what's wrong or if I'm distant, it's like it feels like an attack. I know that that's not where it's coming from, but that's what it feels like. And I feel unsafe in expressing my emotions. So it requires like, taking a breath, sitting there, sitting with the uncomfortable and like not always having the right words and having what I express come out messy and disconnected because I've never been in a place where I felt safe to express it before. And it's such a hard thing because it's all bottled up, it's all internalized. And you see it in so many relationships, the breakdowns, the avoidance, the men distracting themselves in work, in drinking, in weed, in porn, like whatever it might be. These are escapes that men are using. And it's one of the things that men's work is rebuilding though now, is like we're rebuilding the brotherhood that there's people around that do give a shit. And there's people around you that you can express your truth to. Because whilst I believe that women do want us to be vulnerable, they don't want us to come to them with all our problems. Like it's not about just like these are all the problems that are going on in my life. No, it's like what she wants to hear is, yeah, this is what I'm struggling with, but this is what I'm doing about it, or I have the tools to do something about it, or I don't know really what to do about it, but I'm working on it. That's what from my understanding women want to hear, but it's still such a hard thing for us men to express.
Yeah, when we were speaking before around, children having to silence their emotion and then pain is associated with it. It's like that absolute disassociation of like, I'm going to get something wrong again. I'm going to be in trouble again, and this is not okay. Um, when we're looking at men's work and men coming in together. And I love what you said that about, not coming to us women with everything. This is also where our
Mm.
community living has really broken down because women need more women. This is another
Yes.
thing that the industrialized revolution and patriarchy has completely, um, how do you call it, like in a pigeonhole or like where a man and a woman, let's say we're just talking about heterosexual relationships here, in a household where suddenly what we used to get from a whole village is now required from the other. So
Hmm.
also the pressure in monogamy, we don't, I'm not talking about we should all be polyamorous, but if we look at in monogamy, all of the responsibility is down to two different people. And this is now two people are responsible for what 35, 40, 50 people
Mm.
used to provide. And that is food security for all children, not just one man making all of the money, or, then now it's two people because people can't even afford to live on one income
Right.
anymore. So two people have to make all of this money to feed their two or three children. It used to be you weren't solely responsible. And then shelter security, child rearing security was never up to two people.
Mm.
Never. So that's what I'm talking about, where the village has completely abandoned relationships as well as abandoning children. So then there's the pressure on, a man as an individual and as a woman as an individual to exist in our world today, which is completely inhumane.
Right. And I mean, like it's not just that, but it's our extended community, it's our extended village that's been like like turned into division as well, right? It's like talking back to the Industrial Revolution. It's like that was when we separated work from home, and so we've now got over there is where you're going to work, and then as time's gone on, we've got work over there, like the factories and stuff. Then we've got that's where you shop, that's where you go get your food, and that's where you live. So it's all separated. We don't do anything as a collective anymore. Like I mean, I can see 30 houses as I look out my window, but do I know any of them? Am I connected with any of these people? No. It's like we live in an age where we have more connections, but we're not more connected.
More connected, yeah. So my question to you, what's coming up now is like when we're looking at that individualization that's happened, that's really traumatic. When we're looking at anger, and I'm curious to hear what your perception on this, when we're looking at anger in men, because I was reading too, with you, it's like this, your story, like that really beautiful post that you posted on Facebook just, I don't know if it was a few days ago or your most recent one, your vulnerable post around, this deep-seated anger that you felt that you didn't really sort of understand what was about. But when you're looking at men and their anger, do you think a lot of that anger is like men just have no idea why they're angry a lot
Yeah.
of the time, and it's this isolation part?
Like it could be from anything, and I think that you're exactly right. Like we don't understand. We just frame things as angry, like we're just angry about something, but there's almost always something underneath that. Are we sad? Are we grieving something? Do we feel isolated? Do we feel abandoned? Do we feel rejected? Like all of these things lead to anger, but because us as men, we aren't trained to have this emotional capacity. We're not trained to be able to label the emotions, that everything gets labeled as this. And if we don't, like, one of the things that helps everybody be able to get through an emotion or be able to feel the emotion is being able to name what it is. If we can actually name it correctly, it makes it so much easier for us to process it. And so this overarching anger that just exists in the world, and we see it from like when men shut down, when men lash out, when men become verbally abusive, or like down at the pub, someone bumps into them, and the next thing you know, they've got a punch in their face, right? Like all like that's not that issue. That's not anger. There's something underneath there that hasn't been resolved yet. And then the anger is the expression of that emotion that's sitting underneath that. And then the second part is we're always told to repress our anger is toxic. Like us being masculine is toxic, and those expressions are negative. And they're seen as violent even. And like we need to have proper ways to express our anger. And one of the things that, again, it comes down to that brotherhood that we were talking about, the village. Like we need men that we can butt up against, and whether it's physical, whether it's verbal, we need men that can challenge us, but in a safe container, that we know that we're still loved. We know that we're not like less lovable after those conflicts, after those interactions. Like so many men are either scared of conflict or they just run at it with no consideration for the outcome, that we have so many destructive like implications from that.
I'm thinking about this proving factor, this sort of reaction factor. And I often have thought, because there has been no support as children are raised, like boys are raised, no rites of passage. It's like this innate sort of impulse to always prove oneself and to always be in the upper hand, because men are raised to be the lone wolf. So they also have to be, the upper hand, and they have to be the defender. They have to be everything in this one body. Um, as we're talking, it's I want to get into suicide, but I also, suicide rates, and also what's happening with men in suicide, because I don't know if many people know, but suicide rates amongst men is a lot higher than women. Um, and how, from an individualistic point of view, I don't know really how I want to say this, but the danger of men in the world, like
Mm.
especially in your work, like when you're working individually with men, does this actually come up? Do men often, or do they ever say, like, I feel like I'm a danger, I'm afraid of being a danger, or anything like that? When we're speaking of anger, does danger come up with men?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, like that's a big thing with some of my clients, and that's what they talk about is they're they don't want to, like, now that they're going through a process of healing, they realize that in the past they've been very reactionary, and they've been much more willing to go into conflict, but it's more of like this blackout conflict. Like we're going to go from 0 to 100 real fucking quick. Like we're not even going to talk. We're just going to throw hands. And that's something that like is spoken about because they know that there's more under there. They're worried that if they do get angry and they release it, then it's going to be coming out as violent. It's going to come out as this brutal thing that happens to somebody else. And that's the issue that we're facing. It's like we don't have with like so many guys don't have any outlets for their anger. They don't have any like especially for boys, like we're physical, but most of the times like we're sitting here in a chair or we're at an office or we're not doing anything that's really challenging us or our bodies. And then we have like whether it's anxiety or something building up within inside us, and that's how it comes out. It comes out in this she says something and then, oh, bam, I'm now going to react to it. And now I've flipped off the handle. Now she's yelling at me and now it's like getting tense. Like these are the things that happen. And then then the scary part is, can they then withhold their physical side of things?
Mhm. Yeah, I was involved in some conversations 3, 4 days ago, and because I'm always looking at statistics and I work a lot with women and I have a lot of women that I work with that have been through abuse. I myself have. And, one of the most incredible, when I say incredible, the scariest statistic is like the most dangerous man to a woman is her partner.
Mm,
And we can look at these statistics and we can point fingers, but my thing is, once again, it comes back to community, because men are in a home alone, as women is a home, we're in homes alone, so men are not raised in a community that holds them accountable.
mm,
There's no group of men bringing them into the center and saying and working out where to go to from here. It's punishment, of course. In our current system there is the system of punishment, but we don't have collective solutions that
mm.
communities would have and tribes would have. And also with tribes and communities, everyone's looked out. You know more of what's going on
Yes.
because doors are not locked and all of these things, and you're moving between households a lot more. So I think this is another part where our current cultural system really abandons men and women in relationships, is
Hmm.
because we are so isolated. So then it's just a fucking shit show. Let's
Agreed.
be honest.
Yeah.
It's just,
And I think just like what you just said then, like going through the different homes, you're spending more time with the people that are around you, you're seeing their relationships. And it's like, you're right. It's like the relationships, and it's, you hear the phrase, it's like, oh, what happens behind closed doors, like you don't know what happens behind closed doors in that relationship. It's like, yeah, that's part of the problem. It's like, sure, we shouldn't
yeah,
be airing our dirty laundry for everybody to see, but we should have those people that are around us that we can go to with our problems, especially in the relationship. Like, men need to have other men that they can go to and say, hey, this is something that's cropping up for me in this relationship and I'm struggling with it. And that, being able to have that, instead of like what you're saying, going to your partner about it individually. It's like that container is where the issue is happening. It can't be like, it needs to have outside perspective. We need to have other people's, like, points of view so we can get a bit of a different idea. Oh, maybe I am seeing that wrong. Like, sure, she's coming at me emotionally, and that's where I'm coming from as well. I've taken a step back to get, now I've brought this person into it, the conversation, because they're trusted. It's not, like I said, not about airing your dirty laundry. It's about having those trusted people that you can go to, and like that solves so many issues. Like I was thinking back when you said walking through homes and stuff, and like decided by a village the issues. It's like there's an episode of Vikings where Lagertha is you know Ragnar's gone away. Lagertha's now in charge of the village, and there's the woman, and the man comes to them with the issue that perhaps she's slept with somebody else, and now they're having a child. In that scenario, though, it's like you've got other people that are witnessing this relationship, that are witnessing what's going on, and they're giving their outsiders perspectives, and this is what the result is, instead of it just being that isolated couple dealing with that issue. And that's where the issues go wrong. Like that's where, abuse comes into it, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, whether it's sexual. Like, yeah, men not holding other men accountable. Because
yeah,
if you've got other men out there that have a standard that that's not tolerated, it's like, I can guarantee you they will pull you up real fucking quickly.
yeah. The word shame keeps coming to mind as we're speaking, and I'm curious of how much that is a huge factor with men that you work with, is like the shame cycle of not getting things right or not
Mm.
understanding, nuances or whatever it is that they're dealing with. Like, how much are you dealing with shame when it comes to men?
Shame's a big part of it because, again, we're from such a young age, the repression of emotions and suppression of them. It's like that's what it leads to. It leads to this guilt feeling. It leads to this feeling of shame. And whether it's in regards to, like how you're showing up in the relationship, hidden things like your dependency on alcohol, dependency on weed, or, these things you're hiding from your partner, you're shameful about, the things that you don't want to express. It's, you know, that's all stemming from this childhood where we were raised to not be able to feel or go through our emotions. And again, that's not our parents' fault. Like this is a systemic issue that's cascaded from generations before us. But we're up to the point now where we need to take the lead. Like, and men especially, if we heal the world, right? It's like men ripple effect, like women have the ripple effect too, but it's like men as the masculine, we're leaders. If we don't step up and lead the change, then we're going to be seeing the exact same issues that we're facing at the moment. And yeah, shame is one of those big ones that's tied to so many different things, like like shame of am I going to show up properly, or I'm going to get it wrong, or even the shame of feeling the emotion, right? It's like men might in one of those situations with their partner, it's like the emotion starts to build, and then whether they're getting, teary or something like that, and they're choking back tears, or they don't want to express it because they feel shame for feeling that emotion or being seen as weak by their partner, so then they're not going to express it, and it's insidious. It's insidious.
Mhm. So then with clients that are coming to you, men that are coming to you, are they sort of coming to you generally when they're at the end of the effing road and it's like there is nowhere else to go and now we've got to clean up, or are you seeing more and more men coming understanding, wow, if I was to keep on going this way, shit's going to hit the fan, and they're sort of like being able to help themselves and their relationships, their women, whatever it is that they're coming to for before it's sort of
Blows
horrendous.
up. Yeah. And it, like
What did you say? Boys up?
blows up. Yeah.
Oh,
And,
blows up. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean that like I get both. I get both. I get guys that are at the end of their road. And like, that's how I deal with them is differently to those guys that have done some of the work. They're the guys that I want to focus on, the guys that have been doing some of the work. I put out a lot of content for those other guys, but
Mhm.
mostly the guys that are at a breaking point, it's like they need to break. They like,
Mhm.
and if they come to me, I give them a safe container for that to happen and to facilitate that as well. But yeah, it's very interesting. There's the positions that guys will get to, whether they're slightly aware, and then it becomes, it feels like 10 steps backwards before they can start moving forward sometimes, because we've got to really start retracing where these things came from. So whether it's emotional suppression, all right, now we've got to go all the way back to childhood. We've got to start uncovering it from there, and then, reparenting ourselves in that situation, so that then, and this is the issue I find, sorry to jump around, but this is the issue I find with modern day or modern psychology and therapy and counseling, is we spend too much time focusing on the childhood side of things, which is a lot of this comes from Freud, a lot of it comes from Jung, and it's vital, right? We really do have to go to our childhood and revisit it and unpack it and reparent ourselves. But the thing we don't focus on is Adler's perspective, who was another psychologist at the time, which is rebuilding our or building our identity of the man that we want to be moving forward. And that comes from understanding our values and then understanding our goals, so that we have some kind of north vision to be moving towards. So many people don't have this like this overarching guide of themselves, of the man that they want to be and the goal that they're working on, their vision. And too many men, we don't have that. I see it in so many guys that they just don't have a vision they're working towards. They don't know who they are. They don't have the values that are driving their life.
I think that's a really important part that you're speaking to around the values in a man's life, his mission of who he is and how he wants to show up in the world, as opposed to I need to have this amount of money.
Mm,
I got to buy the car and have the house. Like that is a thing. It's not who you are. And
mm.
so and also too, the current cultural environment is like it's so unattainable that you never really get it. It's like, oh, if you do, it'll be taken away. So then it's like losing the value of who you are.
Mm.
Um, yeah, man's mission. It's a lot.
And
I used to
it
think about that a lot with my men's work too. I love it.
oh, it's
Mm.
it's vital. And I think, like, that was a turning point for me as well. Like when I was 21, I was making $1,000 a day. Did that make me feel any more of a man though? Fuck no. Like all it was a distraction that I was chasing more and more and more. And like I thought, like at the time when I was a child, like I always had this vision in my mind that I'm going to make this money, and then like everything's going to be good after that. It's like, no, that it didn't fix the problem at all. It's like I had to turn within. I had to rebuild myself, and like from that, like understanding what do I want my values to be? What's aligned for me, and like defining that was a game changer. And leading with like authenticity, integrity, and honesty. From there, it's like, okay, now I know who the fuck I am. Like I want to lead with love. I want to be love, right? Like, but I want to be also dependable in in a fight, or the protector, like all of it, the whole spectrum of being a man. It's like not just this brute, but also not the simp. It's like finding that middle ground.
Mm, mm. Oh, the nice guy. The whole nice guy
Right.
conversation is a huge one, isn't it? I I want to speak about sex, but I know that I've also mentioned sex and suicide in one sentence. I don't know if that works, but I would like to tether back into, just for a moment around statistics around
Mm.
suicide, men and suicide. I know Australia, unfortunately, has the famosity of leading suicide rates for men, which I find really abhorrent and is not talked about enough. So, can you speak more on that, of what you
Yeah.
know and what you're saying?
Yeah, like I mean, it's insane, right? It's like I think the world statistics are about 600,000 men a year commit suicide. And I've lost brothers to this as well. I know like since I was 15, 16, I know people that I've lost to this. And like this, it all stems, my personal belief is that it stems down to emotional intelligence. If you learn emotional intelligence, then you can have the capacity to be able to express your emotions, express the struggles that you're feeling. Because otherwise it just feels, you feel isolated, you feel alone, you feel like nobody understands what you're going through. Like I've been in that position where I've wanted to not be here as well. And I know that feeling. And being able to come to the other side of that and realize that, yeah, there are people around me that do give a shit, and there's people that I can lean on. Like, yeah, it's insane because I still hear the rhetoric from men and women. It's like no one cares about men's mental health. It's like they do though. But it's those kind of comments that keep pushing that narrative forward and that keep causing men to off themselves. And you know, it's applied. Like now we've got men leaving behind their children, leaving behind their partner, like leaving behind their brothers and sisters and their mums and dads, and you know, leaving holes in other people's chests that aren't going to get filled. It is an epidemic. Like it's happening everywhere across the world, but Australia is horrific for it, and we need more men and women showing that it's okay for men to be like not be emotional, but have emotions. Because that's what it is. Like all it comes down to is emotional suppression. Whether it's, you're going through a financially hard time and that's why it happens. It's like if you can reach out to people in those moments, if you know that there's people you can rely upon, not to help you financially, but to help you emotionally get through it, then we wouldn't have such an issue.
I mean, I also see and believe that because we have a culture that's only hell bent on financial gain and
Mm,
you've got to make money, like that is your only place in society, is how are you doing business wise?
mm,
Because men don't have, and women, we don't have other places. Like what type of man do you want to be? Where else are you uh I mean, fitting in is not the right word, but where else are you contributing to society? What
mm.
else are you doing for children, for landscapes, for food security, where it's just about making money? So if that fails and you're the lone wolf on this, then what else is there in life? And that is the huge issue, that we're so singular focused on this one way of existing that we don't have the broad spectrum of where else we fit in life. And it actually came up in a different arena, but somewhere, speaking about men and what men are needing to do, what they need to achieve in life. And it's like, where has the respect and the honor gone for the bus drivers, the school bus driver? Like, that's not a job that you should go for anymore, because it doesn't have enough, what do you call, accolades, or doesn't
Mm.
hold enough respect. And yet children need to get taken to the school every day, unfortunately,
Right.
5 days a week. But where jobs like that are not holding respect and ground, and yet they're very important parts of our society. Many teachers, like a lot of these jobs too, are becoming very female based, as far as teachers and medical workers. All of this stuff is very female based, where men are not having places other than a big business guy. And that's the
Right.
only thing. If you got to do sports, you've got to do martial arts, you've got to be strong, got to go to the gym and make a lot of money, and that's the only way you can achieve and win
Mm.
in life. And we're losing the broad spectrum of existence for men.
Right.
You know,
100%.
yeah.
And I like, whilst I think that, being physically fit is like it's vital. It is vital. Like like if I mean, this might sound pretty hate filled, but it's not. Like it really is a belief. But if you're a man and you're fat and lazy, I think you're failing as a man. Like you need to be able to you need to be able to do all the physical things as well, right? It's like that is how you're showing up because like that's discipline, that's respect for yourself, like that's self-love, right? It's like taking care of this is self-love. Yet so many guys miss out on that aspect of things because of exactly what you're saying. They're spending all day at work. They're spending 8+ hours at work, which is away from their homes. And then they've got to try to go get fit. And then they've got to try to eat properly. And then they've got to try to connect with their partner. And then they've got to try and spend with time with their kids. Like there's so many things in the modern world that men are trying to juggle that, and I'm not trying to say that like it's take away the responsibility at all. It's saying that we need to step up in a better way. We need to change the way that we're looking at ourselves and what is important to us. Like the money side, and that's going back to your bus driver idea. It's like the idea why most people wouldn't go for that is because of the money. It's like, oh, I'm not going to make enough money as a bus driver to provide for my partner, to provide for my family. And it's like we're so hell bent on focused on that aspect of just being financially providing. It's like, and if we're not doing that, then we're failing as men. That's the current cultural climate.
Yeah. Funneled was the word I was trying to think. We've just been funneled into the corner that this is the only way to exist and everything else doesn't hold value.
Mm.
So now I'd love to finish off. I would love to speak to you about sex. Because I've been being a sex coach, someone who talks about sex all the time. And I work with men around, I teach men how to last longer in bed. And like that's, the power move. It's how you become more trustworthy, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd love to hear with you how much of that is a part of your work too. And how many men actually really come and say, I want to really show up for my woman in the bedroom. How do I last longer? And how all of these things? Like, is that also a big part of your conversations with men?
It hasn't been currently, no. Like the clients I have, that's not their focal point. Though I believe it's something that's important to touch on as well, is like, excuse me, is how we show up in relationships and how we show up in sex, right? It's like and this is the culture that I've seen from such a young age, is like most men are out there chasing women for sex. So like one, they've got the woman on the pedestal that's what they're chasing, right? It's like the pussy is the power, right? And that's what they're going after. But they're not thinking about whether it's even how can they please the woman. It's just how can they get in, get off, get out. And it's like
Yeah.
no wonder then as an energetic thing, women aren't attracted to those men. And so then that creates obviously these incels and these people that are talking in these like, these communities online that are talking negatively about women. It's like they have this hatred towards women because they're not getting chosen. It's like what you're saying. It's like the how last longer in bed and stuff like that. It's like so many guys aren't connected to their bodies. It's like it's again the orgasm. It's all associated with shame and guilt and all these other negative feelings because they've probably used masturbation as an escape from the emotional landscape that they're feeling at the time. They're probably using porn. They're probably using like those kind of things to get themselves off. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm impervious to any of that either. Like I was having a conversation with my housemates the other day that's saying by the time I was 15 or 16, I'd seen more tits than my granddad had ever seen in his life. Like that's just the reality of the situation, and
Yeah.
that shouldn't be happening, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like this, we don't have this reverence, we don't have this belief of the sacred connection between a man and a woman. Like sex is an energy exchange, and I think that that's what a lot of guys are missing, the understanding of that, that there's this energy connection there. Like, and it's not just about like it's not just about you getting in and getting off. It's like you connecting with your woman. It's like because you're entering her, you're penetrating her. It's like you need to make sure you're coming with the right energy into that scenario as well. And too many guys have this. Yeah, there's no talk about it. There's like for a lot of guys anyway. And I think that's an issue. And then that obviously breeds more resentment in relationships because maybe now he's not having enough sex as he would like to, but I'm sure she wants it just as much, but he's not, showing up in the way that she wants him to.
Oh, this is a whole nother podcast episode, isn't it? It is that whole thing, as a woman and as a woman in this work and a woman with many girlfriends, this is the constant conversation. It's like, and I'm going to get really bold here. It's like, but many, many men, I won't say most, even though I would like to, but many men fuck women as if they're fucking men.
Yes.
That they're going towards a woman's body is something to take, to have,
Hmm.
to get inside, get off and out. And
To
most
conquer.
men, yeah, to conquer. It's the conquer and divide. and to have her, and that she's there to be had. Whereas, in the Taoist cultures, my favorite saying from the Taoist cultures, like sex is actually designed for the female body to feel more. It's actually about the woman's body, because a man will either masturbate with his hand, and generally
Hmm.
most men today are masturbating with a woman's body. Let's get really fucking real about this. They're just
Agreed.
dead of their hands. And many men on, out in the whole dating scene, it's like, I can't be fuck using my hand tonight. This is gonna sound awful. Can't be fuck using my hand tonight. I'll find a hole,
Find a hole.
which is
Yep.
awful. It's like, it's so,
Yep.
and like for women, every time, it's just actually in a podcast episode a month ago, and this incredible gentleman, we really dove in. It's like, how when men talk about porn, or if we find, when potential lovers are like, oh yeah, well, watch lots of porn, and how we get talked about, like the visceral effect that happens in a woman's body
Mm.
when we hear our body, and we as women being talked like that, it's fight and flight. It's a
Mm.
it's a trauma. So many women are not having orgasm. I mean, there's also, when I say responsibility, we're all responsible for our own body, and many women are not supported and conditioned, because we're conditioned to like, oh, I'll just stay quiet, or I don't want to
Mm.
upset him, or I don't, or I'm just gonna get it over and done with, so I don't get hurt, so he
Right.
doesn't have a tantrum. So like, this is when we were talking before, like you were talking about young boys in adult bodies, like it's like adolescent behavior. We have men that are adolescents. We've got all of these adolescents running around in grown men bodies, and then treating sex that they can have and that they deserve. And so
Mm.
many men are going to the gym, they're learning how to build business, but they don't give a fuck about learning about a woman's body, because
Right.
they have an orgasm. And it is, to me, that's the one of the hugest things that we need to shift on a cultural narrative, and that really needs to come deeper and deeper into men's work, is
Mhm.
that, okay, we're doing all of this work, and the feminine, it's not just around polarities, like the feminine body needs to be learned about. And this is like, a woman's deepest need is to be fucked wide open.
Right.
And yet that's not fucking the way that men think it is. Like, we have all in relationship, our spiritual work and our emotional work is done through sex. And the majority of women never get past the sneeze of the
Mm.
clitoral orgasm, and men are just ejaculating, wasting all of their power,
Right.
all of these hormones and vitamins and neurotransmitters and collagen, and that is meant for their brain and
Mhm.
their power and their stamina and their creativity, and they just treat it like a waste product.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyway,
That,
there's a big, you can
oh,
tell
look.
I'm
Yeah.
passionate about this subject. Let's talk about
Look, it's something that's like, it's passionate like for me too, because I see it with so many guys, even like, in my current age bracket as well. It's like they're not in relationships, they're not dating, they're not having sex, and so many of and like they're resentful about that. In like whether it's subconsciously towards women or consciously towards women, it's like there's resent there. And then, so then they go into a relationship or they do find themselves with a sexual partner, and then they they wonder why the fuck she's not opening up to him, why she's not softening. It's like, again, and this goes back to emotional intelligence. If you can,
it.
if you're a man, you can understand or like build your emotional intelligence capacity. It's like you'll be able to connect with your woman on such a better level that she will then soften, that you can then start getting into those sexual energy exchanges that do feel fulfilling, instead of just feeling like, you come as a man, like you ejaculate and then you feel dirty, you feel guilty, like, because that's obviously, it's like, that's, sorry, not obviously, that's often associated as well for men. And, you're exactly right. It's like the orgasm and the ejaculation, they're two separate things, but I think 99% of men think that they happen at the same time because it does for them. It's like they don't have the understanding of whether it's, semen retention or whether it's just orgasm control. And yeah, it's
As a,
wild. It's wild. Like if men want more sex, learn in emotional intelligence, learn and learn your woman's body too. Like, it's not just about getting in and getting off. Like, yeah, there's so many other sensual areas. There's so many other sensual areas for men too. Like, and it's not just about the physical. Like, it's the spiritual and it's the energetic exchange too. It's not talked about enough, and not by men. Like, I'm no expert, but it's not talked about by men enough either, I think. And that could be
yeah,
something that
yeah.
opens the world for men.
It's also too, when we think about how masturbation is often introduced to everyone's life, which is especially for boys, like jerking off quickly in the corner or in the bathroom,
Hmm.
or, behind closed doors quickly so no one hear. So their sexual debut begins in shame.
Hmm.
It begins in like hiding. And one of my, you know, one of my most profound questions to my clients, my male clients, when I start working with them is like, when did you first start masturbating and what was it like? And I'm like, so what's different
Mm.
now as a 45-year-old man? And they're like, I'm like, do you last longer? Are you masturbating differently? And it's horrifying for them when they sit and go, holy fuck.
Nothing's
I'm a
changed.
44, I'm a 38, I'm a 52-year-old man, and I'm still touching my cock and masturbating as if I was 12.
Mm.
And it's like, we don't think about it that way. And look, women have their own journey around all of this as well. It's
Of
like, we're not
course.
here just dumping on men, but it's like, you are entering into a woman's body by
Mm.
invitation. And it is such an honor. And we don't talk about it like this, it's like
Yeah.
it's an honor and it's an invite. And the other thing is, like, when you're talking about women softening, it's like, as a woman's like, we soften and then we get fucking hungry.
Mm.
Like, men, don't worry. Like, by
Yeah.
you slowing down, it's not just going to be all of this energetic stuff. You're going to have a woman that's so fucking insatiable. And I say this to men, they come to me, they go, I want to fuck my woman wide open. I said, really? Are you ready?
Are you ready? Yeah.
Dude, you're not going to get a rest.
Mm.
Like, you're seriously not. And you're going to have to be able to handle the fact that you're actually going to have to turn her down more than she's been turning you down for the last 5 years. And you've got to fucking well handle that too in your
Mm.
brain and maybe your ego, that is like, you're going to be going, sweetheart, not
Not tonight.
today.
Yeah.
Because once you fuck your woman wide open, she needs more. And this is how she makes money for you. This is how she
Hmm.
brings stuff
Hmm.
into the relationship with you and for you and alchemize. Our wombs and our vaginas are designed to alchemize the relationship and the relating in community and everything. Like, this is what our wombs are designed for, which is
Right.
the powerhouse. So if you want to fuck your woman wide open, you better be bloody well ready, because most people have no idea what that's
Hmm.
like.
Yeah, and it opens abundancy, right? And I think that's the other thing as well. It's like what you just said there about guys being able to say no. I don't think many guys have the ability to say no. And I think that's another thing as well. Guys are so controlled by their own lust, right? And this is another thing. It's like when a woman does encounter that man that is in control of his own sexual pleasure and can say no and can hold the line steady as well, that can upset the woman. That can lead her to start questioning some things too about her own worth, about her own like positioning, because she's probably only experienced guys that can't control their lust and that probably do fuck her wrong still, but there's still the want there because women just like men, we're animals at the end of the day, right? It's like we all want it. But yeah, it's like that man that can hold that frame and be able to be confident in his no. It's like I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but that is just as attractive to a woman as well.
Oh, yes. And then it's also too, there's a cascade of like, what does she need to work through? Like, so many women are conditioned that their worth lies in, like, I'm thinking of the infinity loop.
Yes.
So many women have conditioned themselves, or society's conditioned them, that their worth lies in a man ejaculating. And
Hmm.
I hear that a lot from men, like, because I speak a lot and I'm also often date just to have great conversations with men. Okay, tell me, what's your experience? Anyone here who sees me on Bumble and stuff go like, maybe the date's just about me getting info out of you. But because I
It's
love it.
research.
I love it. Yeah, I'm always doing research. But where men often talk about, the woman wanting to make him ejaculate. And I've met men before who've practiced, ejaculation control, and then they, in relationship, and then when they were single and they started dating all of these women, and they're just having women having tantrums, going,
Mm.
"Why don't you don't think I'm pretty? You don't really like
Hmm.
me because we're conditioned to go. Well, if he doesn't ejaculate, he doesn't like me. I'm not beautiful. I'm not acceptable." So then it's this whole loop of like,
Mm.
sweetheart, that's got nothing to do with that at all. And this is your issue then. It's like, it's like we all grow and learn through these layers.
Mm.
Um, and also for a man to hold his seed, to hold his ejaculate and keep on taking her over and over again. And the fact that he can experience it. I mean, men have well over, I know years ago when I started studying, it was all like men have more than, have 8 orgasms available. They've got so much more than 8. Women have so much more than 11. But what's available to our system is
Mm.
absolutely incredible, and how they are just as glorious as the ejaculatory. And also the play, that it's like there's not a
Mm.
finish line. You
Exactly.
can play and you can have all of this sensuality and sex for like 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and then go and create and do whatever, go to work and come back. So it's like there's no finish line.
Mm. Mm.
It's like,
It,
why not keep on opening and opening and opening? And why not say no to your wife? She's like, sweetheart, you've got to go and sort yourself out. Like, I'm staying fully dressed for these few hours
right.
and allow her to go. Another thing in relationship is self-pleasure is so important. We're not responsible for each other's pleasure. We're responsible for our own pleasure.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think what you touched on there, like the play, like, because sex is adult play, right? Well, it's one of the capacities of adult play. And yeah, it's that idea that it's not just play, but it's connection. And too many people don't realize that the connection part of it, like we're so focused on coming, right? We're so focused on ejaculating that finish line that we forget about the play side. We forget about the connection. And yeah, like I mean, I can think back to certain sexual escapades I've had, and some of them have been on plant medicine and like being in a psychedelic experience with my partner at the times. Like that just opened up so many other avenues, and the pleasure was so much different from anything that I'd ever had before because we were truly in that moment together, just playing and connecting, and that we were like really feeling into each other. And the only way I could explain it was we were creating universes, which sounds
Mm,
very out there, but
fabulous.
yeah.
Of course.
But that's the only way I could explain it. And it was like, yeah, that exact moment. And obviously with the assistance of the psychedelics, but yeah, that feeling of play and connection is something that's always stuck with me.
Mm. Jackson, I would love to hear from you. It's just been such a great conversation. And thank you so much for your time. And I love how we've gone from raising children to like fucking your woman wide open. Like that's just how children get here, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just have to keep reminding some people it's like it's not a fucking bird. Like seriously, the bird's not gonna drop out of the sky. Um, I would love to hear for you closing off. What message do you have for women about men?
Ooh, damn good one. That's a damn good question. Um,
Mm.
we give a fuck. We really do. Like us, like you might see us men as being cold or stoic or distant. But I can tell you that that's because a man really fucking cares. And if you have one of those men that seems cold and distant and you want him to open up more, don't pressure him into it. It's like just be there, sit there with him. Like just put your hand on him. Let him know you're there. Let him feel you. Like you don't need to pressure him to come out. You need to make it a safe space for him to feel that it's emotionally okay for him to express himself. That's probably the big thing because women want to hear what's going on and they want to be heard. But a lot of the times men don't feel safe doing that. And so that's probably the biggest one is, yeah, we give a fuck. We really do. But we don't feel safe expressing it.
Oh, I could sit and cry. Like I'm a woman. The emotion moves through me. And what you've just said is so fucking important. And I just want to bring something into this, even though I said we're about to close off. But when you're talking about emotional safety for men, like this really comes into our posing maps of arousal. Like, and Tantra speaks about positive, negative
Mm,
poles. And this is one thing that I mean, I share with male or female clients. And one way I love explaining this is, we need time for our pussy to open for penetration. We need to have that safety. We're head, heart, then pussy. So all of this needs to we need to feel intrigued and safe and their hearts open. And it takes a while for our pussy to open. And I always say to women, you've got to think of a man's heart that way.
mm,
Yes, his cock may be turned on, but that his heart can be closed. It's like our head can be turned on, but our pussy is closed. And emotional safety is on the same level as our physical safety.
hmm
And we need to truly, and I know a lot of people kind of like, when I say a lot of people, I've seen people sort of glaze over a bit, like, but I don't know who first brought it out, but where women are afraid that men are going to hurt them,
mm,
and men are afraid that women are going to laugh at them.
hmm
And these two fears are on the same level, and we need to understand the depth of that when it comes to men.
mm. I think you nailed something there when you're talking about the emotional safety. Like it doesn't like it might be glazed over a lot for men, but if women want men to last longer in bed, make them feel emotionally safe. It's like open their heart and then their cock will last longer.
Mic drop. Open their heart and their cock will last longer. Thank you so much for today's conversation, Jackson. It's just been really wonderful
Thank you.
just to
Yeah.
rest off. It's
Yeah. I
just
feel
been,
like we could talk for hours.
I know. Yeah. Maybe next time we'll have to do part two.
100%.
Lovers, you will find all of the ways that you can get in touch with Jackson, how to follow him, to follow his ass around the world as he in Australia. And yeah, let us know how, in the show notes, let us know wherever you see this podcast, what inspired you and how it landed for you. And it's just been such a joy. So once again, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have been inside of the Pleasure Studio, where all things intimate are up for discussion. Thanks for getting real with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If this conversation sparks something within you, do not hesitate to share it by emailing me via the link below. If you're not already, you can follow my good tush on the social media handles also below, and make sure to hit subscribe. Tune in next time for more truths about pleasure and passion. Until then, stay bold, courageous, and truthful as you explore your pleasure your way.